you
Exactly.
had, if you could talk to parents and share with them like 3 to 5 different ways of how to reduce the overwhelmness of how to reduce,
Mhm.
how to deal with, with their homeschooled, children, what would you share with them?
That's such a good question. Number one would be to start taking care of yourself. When you feel like you're dealing with your kids, dealing with your homeschooling, dealing with your business, whatever it is that you have going on, and you feel like it's all too much, usually you're not taking care of yourself. Usually maybe you're taking care of yourself looks like, sitting and eating pizza and watching TV at night or something, but it's not really taking care of you. So I talk a lot about how to take care of your body and your mind and your spirit. So what are you doing to nourish your body? Are you getting enough sleep? Are you drinking enough water? Are you eating healthy, nutritious food? Are you getting exercise? Are you going on walks? What are you doing for your mind? Are you managing your mind? So that's a lot of what we do in life coaching is we teach people how to use these tools so that they can manage their mind. Are you doing, meditation? For spiritual, do you have a daily spiritual practice that you do? So what are some things that you are doing for each part of your life, even relational? What is your relational self-care? One of the things I love chatting about too is communal care. So like having your own connection and community, like who are you connected to, who's supporting you and helping you. So you're not just trying to juggle all these things at once, but you're having care and help and support in that. And when we start really focusing inwardly and on taking care of ourselves, I always talk about like a vat. It's like this giant vat, and we're like filling this vat of liquid so that we have more to give, instead of it being like a tiny little shot glass where we just have like nothing to give. And if our kid comes and like screams and yells at us or throws a tantrum, or we're trying to homeschool them and it's stressful and we can't figure out their grade 9 math homework or whatever, that's like putting salt in that tiny little shot glass. And that's not like you can't drink that. It's going to be so salty, you're going to spit it out. It's not helpful for
Yeah,
you or for
yeah.
them. But if you put that tiny little bit of salt in a giant vat, and you have so much more to give and so much more peace and contentment in yourself, then you're going to be so much more able to help. So definitely number one would be like taking time to do things to care for yourself.
I love it. No, this is great because, as you mentioned, right? Once those issues or daily normal things when you're dealing with children, when they come into your
Mhm.
life, because you're so complete as to how you've been taking care of yourself, that won't be such an overwhelming feeling anymore because
Yeah.
you're in a place that you can help support, right? You are actually waiting to be able to make sure that you are doing the best you can as a mom or as a dad and being a great
Exactly.
parent.
Yeah,
That's great.
I have a free mini course, a self-care mini course, and I talk about this more. There's like a PDF where it has like ideas of self-care and then a schedule. And what my schedule
Okay.
looks like is on Sunday nights, I sit down with my husband, we both schedule together, and I'll actually put in my own time first before I put in work, before I put in kids' time, before I put in anything. I'm like, in the morning, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to have me time. At night, when they go to bed, 2 nights a week, I'm going to sit and just like read a good book or watch a show. On Friday nights, it's our date nights. On Saturday or on Sunday is going to be like my rest day. I'm not going to do anything that day. So I put those in before I add any other appointments, anything to my calendar. And then I'm going to go
Yeah.
and be like, okay, I'm going to have time to connect with my kids. I'm going to go do their school this time. We're going to go on a hike or an adventure this day. But I make sure that that me time actually gets scheduled in. So it's not this like lovely idea that never gets implemented.
And that's important, isn't it? The calendar, working with that calendar, especially as parents, we have to ensure that a calendar is in place to help support us as we're going through this
Mm-hmm.
journey as a parent. So that's fantastic. And how can someone connect with you if they have more questions about what it is that you just shared? How can they
Yeah,
connect with you?
so I'll tell you about all my free content first. On my website, which is www.coachcrystal.ca, CRYSTAL. That one you can go, there's a section called free content, and you can listen to the podcasts and stuff that I've been on, but above that is all these videos, and each week I put a new video up. And if you're on my email list, you get that video directly in your inbox. But those will just be little things like this week was on self-compassion versus shame and how to like flip that cycle. And I've done ones on self-confidence, on self-care, on self-love, on connecting with your kids. I'll probably do some on time management and scheduling. So I did some on minimalism. and also some thought work. So each week I share these little clips, and I also have a free self-care mini course that you can get by subscribing on my website. But I do most of my work on Instagram. So Coaching with Crystal Noel on Instagram. I post on there every day. I post great stuff. I share people's stories. I do my own stories. Most of my content is on Instagram. So definitely there too.
That's fantastic because I'm sure that, from the courses, from the tools, and from the
Mm-hmm.
videos, they'll be able to get some great nuggets to get them started. And then, of course, if
Mm-hmm.
they want to connect with you, they can always reach out to you. That's great,
Yeah.
Crystal. So let me ask you, like, your mom, you're dealing with working with your babies at home. You're an entrepreneur. How would you share with someone who's thinking about taking that journey? What would be a one statement? Like, what would you share with them and tell them to take this journey and be able to understand confidently that they'll be fine, they'll be okay? What would you share with someone who's looking to be an entrepreneur and who's just like you, a mom, with children who are at home?
That's such a good question. And so I have conversations with my future self. I call her Crystal 2.0. And she's just like super good. She like has her calendar down, and she's really self-compassionate when she makes mistakes, and she's totally fine with failure. She's just amazing. So I'm like, okay, future self, we have a little chat, and it's kind of like that cliche, like Frozen 2:1, something about like, what's the next step or whatever, your next best step, the next right step. I think that's how it goes. And I ask that to my future self. I'm like, what's my next right step? Because we look at this giant thing like we're walking up the mountain, and we're looking up how high this mountain is, and we're like, oh my goodness, that mountain's so high, and it's kind of daunting. And lots of times we're like, maybe we should just turn around and go back and like not actually climb to the top of this mountain. But if we're just like, no, we actually just need to make it to the next signpost, then we're like, okay, what's that next signpost? No, we actually just need to make it to that tree ahead.
Exactly.
Right. So it's like putting it into these tiny little bite-sized pieces. So we actually just need to go on podcasts. We actually just need to engage with our audience on social media. Maybe we need to start creating content. So if you don't have your business set up yet, what would your next step be? Maybe it's creating a name. Maybe it's starting your social media account. Maybe it's like I did an Instagram training course, and now I'm doing a Pinterest training course, but I don't know all the things, but I just know like, well, what's the next thing for me? How could I increase my audience? How could I engage with my audience more? And as I ask myself those questions, I'm able to figure out just that next little bite-sized step instead of it being like this giant. I have big, giant goals, but that's like the top of my mountain. And I'm constantly checking to see like, okay, am I still on the right trail? Is the mountain still in view? Okay, yeah, it is. All right, what's the next step now?
I love it because we as entrepreneurs we can be such visionaries of big visions, but
Mm-hmm.
taking those small actionable steps are going to be key to meeting that vision. And you're right, it's going to the next mountain, taking the next step to get
Yeah.
us where we want to be. And as you say, right, Crystal 2.0, I love that.
Yep.
So I mean, and you're in a space where you're living your dream. You
Mhm.
are really enjoying this. So what inspires you every day? What makes you get up every single morning?
I love life. I'm like excited about living life. And I know it sounds a little bit cliche, like living life intentionally, but I love that I can. Like, I can create the most amazing relationship with my spouse. I can create the
Wow.
most amazing connection with my kids. I can create an amazing business. I have a goal to travel full time. We've done it a little bit in the past. I have a goal to travel full time and homeschool and be working online. And I know that I can make that happen. And I think it's just that belief that like some people have beliefs like, or maybe ideas that come into their mind and they're like, well, that's weird, and kind of just let it go. I don't. I'm like, oh yeah, I actually, one time years ago, we had two young kids and we bought one-way tickets to Hawaii, and we're like, we'll just stay in Hawaii for as long as we
Wow.
can. Because we had the winter off. My husband wasn't working over the winter, but we do crazy stuff like that all the time. And we're just like, I'll have an idea, and then I'm like, is this a good idea? Do we want to do this? And then I make it happen. And I really have the belief that we can make whatever life we want happen. We can lose the weight. We can, plan the big dreams. We can travel the world. But I feel like we do have to make it happen. And we can't just like have it as this idea that never happens. It's not just like You know, people will talk about the law of attraction and kind of just attracting things to them, which I think is great. But I think the next step is like, well, how can I? Like, if I really want this, what is the action steps that I'm going to take now to make that happen?
Wow. So you're taking these bold steps.